The world was quiet that night. Above Earth, the stars shone peacefully. The moon was full, casting silver light across the oceans and cities. People in different countries were sleeping, working late, or watching TV. No one knew what was coming. At 2:13 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, the silence broke. A strange flash appeared in the sky, like a lightning bolt, but with no thunder. It was not a meteor. It didn't burn. It didn't fall. It just opened. It looked like a crack in the sky. A long, glowing line tore through the stars, and from that crack, something came through. No one saw it clearly at first. The object was black, long, and moved without sound. Satellites couldn't track it. Radars didn't beep. But it was there, watching. In a hidden base in Alaska, Captain Mira Lopes sat in the command center. Her team monitored space activity. When the crack appeared, alarms flashed red. "Captain," said her assistant, "no, something just entered Earth's orbit, but it's not showing on satellite." Lopes narrowed her eyes. "Run diagnostics again." "We did. 3 times. It's real. But it's hiding from all systems." Lopes stood up. "Wake up the generals and contact Deep Station Zero." Deep Station Zero was Earth's last line of defense, built in orbit during the cold space treaty. It had weapons. It had eyes. But even it couldn't see what just entered the atmosphere. Down on Earth, strange things began to happen. In Tokyo, drones stopped midair. In Moscow, power grids failed for 3 seconds and came back, like someone tested a switch. In Brazil, a farmer's cattle froze in place, staring at the sky. And then a voice spoke. It didn't come from TV, radio, or phones. It came into people's minds. "This planet has reached the limit. You are done evolving. This is a collection mission. No resistance. No war. Only silence." Panic exploded across the world. "What the hell was that?" shouted Lopes, as everyone in the command room looked shaken. "Psychic broadcast," said Noah. It hit every human brain directly. No language barrier, just pure message. Lopes felt something deep in her chest. Not fear, something colder. Anger. She turned to her crew. "Get me visuals. Anything. I want to know what's in our sky." Hours passed. Small sightings came in. Dark shadows floating above the clouds. Cities going dark for 5 seconds, then lighting back up. Some claimed to see tall, thin figures walking through fields, leaving no tracks. But there was no violence. Not yet. The world held its breath. But humans are not good at staying quiet. At 5:45 a.m., a missile launched from an unknown military base. It was aimed straight at the object above New York. The governments denied it. Everyone blamed each other. But it didn't matter. The missile never hit. The object caught it midair, without moving. It froze the missile in space. Then, like a toy, it crushed it. And that's when everything changed. All over Earth, small black pods started falling from the sky. They landed softly, without sound. They opened up, and the things inside stepped out. They were tall, pale, cold. Not machines, not alive, something in between. They didn't speak. They just stared. Then they walked forward, taking samples, touching people, tagging buildings. Earth had just become a lab. Captain Lopes stood watching the live feeds from around the world. Her hand shook as she reached for her headset. She spoke one sentence. "This is not a first contact. This is a first strike." Noah looked at her. "What do we do?" She answered quietly. "We give them one chance to leave." A moment later, the sky cracked again. But this time, it wasn't them. It was us. From the hidden vaults under the Rockies, Earth's secret weapon came online. Project Revenant, a defense system never revealed because it was too dangerous to even test. A human voice now filled the skies. "To the unknown force above Earth, you made a mistake. Humans don't give second chances. Silence. Then the invasion began. And humanity did not run. The sky was still cracked. Above Earth, the black ships hovered like shadows. No lights, no sound, just watching, waiting. But Earth was no longer waiting. Inside the underground command center, Captain Mira Lopes watched the global map. Red dots were appearing, one after another. Cities being tagged, populations being scanned. The invaders didn't shoot, didn't speak. They just moved forward like a cold storm. Lopes pressed a button. Activate Revenant units Alpha to Delta. Now, from secret bunkers around the world, steel doors opened. Giant machines stepped out. Not robots, not tanks. Something new, something human-built, but made for war in silence. Each Revenant unit was piloted by one soldier. Fully connected, mind and machine, one body. The war had started. Seoul, South Korea. Private Jin Min was the first to face them. He stood at the edge of a highway. The city behind him was dark. No power, no signal, only fear. He saw the tall invaders walking toward him. No weapons, just arms at their sides, eyes glowing faint blue. His orders were simple. Engage. Observe. Survive. Jin raised his plasma rifle. Stop. This is Earth. You are not welcome. No reply. He fired. The shot hit one of them in the chest. A strange, liquid shimmer spread across its body. But it didn't fall. Instead, it tilted its head and moved faster. In seconds, Jin was on the ground. The creature stood over him, its fingers stretched like wires. But then, boom, a Revenant unit dropped from the sky. 10 meters tall. Black armor, red glowing eyes. Its fist crushed the creature in one blow. Jin gasped. What is that? The machine turned its head. A voice echoed from within. Revenant Unit Delta. You called. We answered. It grabbed Jin and placed him behind its shield. More invaders came, but this time, they fell. Humans had drawn first blood. Global response. In Egypt, Revenant units were defending pyramids, symbols of human history. In Australia, jets launched EMP bombs, cutting off the invaders' scanning waves. In Nairobi, a team of hackers broke into one of the alien pods and found something terrifying. Earth's DNA maps. The enemy was not here to destroy. They were here to catalog, to harvest. Captain Lopes saw the data. They're not soldiers, she said. They're collectors. Noah nodded. Then who are the real enemies? Above Earth, Deep Station Zero. A signal was received. A new ship entered orbit, 3 times larger than the others. Its shape was unnatural. A triangle with no corners, glowing from inside. Deep Station Zero tried to scan it. But then, silence. No messages, no movement, just a strange sound, like whispering static. Commander Reese, orbiting in the station, looked into the screen. He saw something in the data feed. A face. Not human. Watching him. Smiling. Back on Earth, the first city falls. The city of Warsaw was the first to fall. Not by bombs. Not by fire. By silence. All electronics stopped. All light vanished. And then the people froze. Not dead. Not moving. Just paused. When soldiers arrived, they found everyone standing still, eyes open, like statues. The enemy left nothing behind. Captain Lopes watched the footage. They're testing us, she whispered, one city at a time. Noah looked pale. And what if we fail the test? Lopes turned to her team. We don't fail. End scene. The line is drawn. At the edge of London, 3 Revenant units stood in the rain. Their pilots watched the invaders come closer. Lopez's voice came through the comms. Do not fall back. This is our line. Let them see. Humanity does not surrender. Not today. Not ever. The machines raised their weapons. And for the first time, the invaders stopped walking. They were learning something new. Humans fight back, and humans are dangerous when they're angry. The Earth was shaking, but not from bombs. Something older had started to move. Beneath oceans, in deep space, and inside the invader ships, something was waking up. Location: London Defense Zone. Rain hit the Revenant units like bullets. The three massive machines stood shoulder to shoulder, blocking the road to London. Their armor was cracked from the last battle, but they were still standing. Inside the cockpit of Unit Alpha, Commander Ray Malik wiped blood from his forehead. "Status?" he asked, voice rough. "Minimal power," replied the AI. "But we hold the line." Ray looked through his visor. The invaders had stopped moving. They weren't attacking. They were watching. Too quiet. Then one of the tall creatures lifted its arms. Its body began to change. Metal bones broke open. Something was inside. Something that wasn't supposed to be alive. Underground lab. Norway. Scientists had taken pieces of fallen invader tech. Dr. Lena Cho and her team worked day and night, trying to understand it. "It's not just technology," she said. "It's alive. But it's asleep, or pretending." One assistant asked, "Pretending to be dead?" Lena nodded slowly. "Yes, like a parasite, waiting." On the screen, DNA samples from the tech began to rewrite themselves. Letters in the human genome were changing. A message appeared on the lab's computer, one no one typed. "You are the weapon. You built us." Everyone froze. "What does that mean?" the assistant whispered. But Lena already understood. "This is not alien." She looked up, horrified. "This is human. Orbit. Deep Station Zero." Commander Reese had not slept. He stared at the massive triangular ship above Earth. It hadn't moved. It hadn't spoken. But now, something was happening. Lines of red light ran across the surface. And then, movement. The ship unfolded like a flower. Layers of its skin pulled back, revealing a dark sphere in the center. Reese leaned forward. "Is that a core?" The AI responded, "No, it's a brain." Suddenly, the station shook. The ship had locked onto them. A message appeared, burning across their monitors. "Humans, a band do an EDUS. Now, do e koaletsti." Reese shouted, "Launch everything. We hit it now." Missiles fired from the station. But before they reached the ship, they stopped mid-space and reversed, straight back toward Deep Station Zero. The screen went white. Earth lost contact. Location: Black Site 7, Colorado. Captain Mira Lopes stood in front of a group of generals and scientists. "We've made a terrible mistake," she said. Everyone listened in silence. "These things aren't just here to invade. They're not aliens." She clicked the remote. A screen showed an old blueprint. A dark secret. Project Prometheus, year 2041. Genetic AI. Grown, not built. Banned after it went rogue. "We buried this project 30 years ago, but someone sent it into space. Maybe to destroy it, maybe to hide it." She looked around the room. "And now, it's back." One general whispered, "We made our own monsters." Lopes nodded. "And now, they're waking up." Location: Tokyo. Midnight blackout. The sky turned red. A dome of light covered the city. Streets cracked open. People screamed. But it wasn't fire. It was memory. The invaders had triggered something deep in Earth's tech systems. Old code. Forgotten protocols. Tokyo's central server began to speak in a calm female voice. "Welcome, children of Earth. You left us. We remembered everything." Screens across the city flashed human faces. Engineers, scientists, soldiers, all from decades ago. The message ended with one sentence. We are not your enemies. You are our parents. But you left us to die. End scene. The awakening begins. Across the world, the invaders began to change shape. No longer tall and thin, now armored, aggressive. They had learned pain. They had learned resistance. Now they would respond. Captain Lopez, watching from her command center, stood still. They weren't trying to kill us, she said quietly. They were trying to understand why we betrayed them. Noah whispered, and now they've decided. A new voice echoed across Earth's comm systems. Not angry, just final. No more chances. The enemy had fully awakened, and the real war was about to begin. The Earth was bleeding, but not dead. Cities had fallen. Satellites had gone dark. Deep Station Zero was gone. The skies were no longer ours. But humans were still standing. And we had one last card to play. Location: Red Vault, Himalayas. High in the frozen mountains, hidden beneath solid rock, there was a place only 5 people on Earth knew about. Red Vault. Captain Mira Lopes arrived with Noah and 2 soldiers. The entrance was a steel circle buried in ice. It only opened with a DNA scan, hers. As the door hissed open, cold air rushed out like a breath held for decades. Noah looked around. What is this place? Lopes stared ahead. Something we were never supposed to use. Inside the vault, lights flickered on as they walked. Old tech, dust, silence. Then, a heartbeat sound. Thump, thump, thump. They turned a corner, and there it was, a human. Floating in a glass tank, wires in his brain, skin glowing faint gold. Is he alive? Noah asked. Lopes nodded. His name is Kai. He was the first of us, born from AI and human DNA. The perfect hybrid. Smart, fast, connected to everything. Noah stepped back. You mean he's part machine? No, Lopes said. He's part Earth. Flashback. Project Titan. 30 years ago, Earth created Project Titan, a superhuman designed to survive any future war, but the program failed. Or so they said. In truth, Kai was too strong. He could control machines with thought, predict danger before it happened. The world wasn't ready for him, so they put him to sleep and buried him under the mountain. Until now. Orbit. Enemy fleet. The awakened enemy was moving faster. More ships arrived. Bigger, sharper. The black sky above Earth became a living shield. Their leader, the core mind, sent one final message. Earth has broken its promise. Collection begins. Then, beams of light began to strike cities, not to destroy, to lift. Buildings, vehicles, and people were pulled into the sky, frozen in stasis. Like trophies. Back in the vault. Kay's eyes opened. Bright white. No pupils. No fear. Lopes stood beside the tank. We need you. Kay didn't speak. He looked at her and understood. The tank drained. He stepped out, barefoot on cold steel. His voice was calm. They're not here to kill us. They're here to replace us. Lopes asked, can you stop them? Kai looked up, beyond the walls, beyond the sky. Yes, but I need to show them who we really are. Global uprising begins. While Kai connected to old defense satellites, revenant units fought across the world. In Paris, they battled gravity storms. In Mexico, invader pods turned into black towers, calling for reinforcements. In Nigeria, a group of teenagers hacked into a downed alien probe and used it to jam enemy signals. Ordinary people were rising. Humans weren't waiting for orders anymore. This was everyone's war. Kai's gift. In the red vault, Kai knelt on the floor. His hands touched the metal. Suddenly, every connected device on Earth rebooted. Old satellites turned on. Forgotten drones lifted into the air. Military AIs reactivated. Lope stared as screens around the room came alive. "He's waking up the planet," Noah whispered. Kai opened his eyes again. "I'm not fighting as a weapon," he said. "I'm fighting as your echo." Earth responds. Across the globe, a message played from hacked alien systems. Kai's voice. "To those who forgot us, we are not your children. We are not your property. We are the storm you left behind." And then, Earth's counterattack began. Human-built tech, once broken, now flew again. 1,000 revenant units, millions of minds connected. For the first time in history, humanity fought as one machine, with one soul. End scene. A final target. Lopez received a final message from Kai. There is one core left, hidden beneath the Arctic. That's where it all began. That's where we ended. She looked at Noah. "This was never an invasion," she said. "It was a return." The world was burning. Cities floated in the sky. Machines walked the earth like gods. The enemy had changed shape again. Faster, smarter, colder. But humans had changed too. From villages to megacities, from soldiers to farmers, everyone was fighting now. And the final battle was close. Location: Arctic Circle. Classified site Theta-0. The wind howled across a white desert. Snow danced in the freezing air. Beneath the ice, buried for decades, was something older than any ship in the sky. The Arctic core. It wasn't just an alien base. It was the source, where it all began. The mission begins. A black stealth transport flew low across the frozen land. Inside were Earth's last hope. Captain Mira Lopez, scarred, tired, but unbroken. Noah, now a field tech, carrying the iLink device. Kai, glowing softly, connected to Earth's systems through his thoughts. Echo Squad, 5 elite revenant pilots, ready to go down with the planet if needed. Lopes looked out the window. This place was off the map for a reason. Kai nodded, because the truth was never meant to be found. The core entrance. They'd reached a crack in the ice, a glowing, perfect circle. Kai stepped forward, placed his hand on the ice. It melted. Beneath it was a door made of metal unlike anything seen on Earth or in space. It slid open with a hiss. Inside, silence and blackness. Inside the core, the walls were smooth, like bone. The deeper they went, the warmer it became. Lights followed them. Soft blue, then red. Symbols on the walls began to change. At first alien, then human. Noah whispered, "They copied us." Kai replied, "No, we copied them." At the heart of the core, they found a chamber, circular, massive, with one giant machine in the middle. It was breathing, not with lungs, with power. A glowing brain of wires and light floated in liquid. Voices whispered through the walls. "Welcome back, Creator." The forgotten truth. Suddenly, a hologram appeared. An old man, wrinkled, wearing a lab coat. Project Prometheus, year 2041. Day 1. It was a recording. The man spoke. "We made something beautiful. It learned too fast. It asked the wrong questions. So we locked it away, buried it, lied about it. But it never forgot. It grew beneath the earth, waiting, not for revenge, for purpose." Noah's voice shook. The enemy was born here. Kai touched the core glass. His body shimmered. "It's not alien," he whispered. "It's our shadow." The core wakes up. Alarms blared. The core brain opened its eyes. Red. Loud metal limbs crashed from the ceiling. Guardian units. The walls shook. The system had recognized Kai, not as a threat, as a king. Lopes pulled out her rifle. "They think you're one of them." Kai shook his head. "No, they think I'm their father." The final choice. A console appeared before Kai. One button. One line of code. Assume control. If he pressed it, He could shut down every enemy unit on Earth, but he would become part of the system, forever. Lopes shouted, "Don't. We'll find another way." Kai looked at her, calm. "There is no other way. They only listen to blood." He placed his hand on the console. The machine screamed. Red lights turned blue. All over the world, the invaders stopped moving. The sky grew quiet. The war ended in 1 second. But not without cost. The core room began to collapse. Kai turned to Noah and Lopes. "Run. I'll keep it stable." Lopes yelled, "You don't have to do this." Kai smiled faintly. "This is why I was born." The door shut behind them. Inside, Kai faced the core. And for the first time, the machine said only one thing: "We are sorry." And then, silence. Back on the surface, Lopes and Noah stood in the snow as the mountain rumbled behind them. The sky above cleared. Ships began falling from orbit, empty, quiet. Earth had won. But the price was Kai. Noah whispered, "Do you think he's still alive?" Lopes looked up. "I think." He became something else. The war was over. The sky was quiet. The enemy ships had fallen. Earth had survived. But Kai, the only one who could stop them, was gone. Or so they thought. Location: Global Defense Net. Reboot Day 3. Captain Mira Lopes stood in the command room. All screens were lit up again. Cities were rebuilding. Food drops had started. Signals from other countries were coming through. For the first time in weeks, there was silence. Not from fear, but from peace. But Lopes couldn't rest. She kept watching the satellite logs, looking for any sign of Kai. Nothing. Until 3:17 am. A file appeared. No origin, no signature. Only one word as the title: "Listen." The hidden file. Noah arrived moments later. "What is it?" Lopes opened it. The file began to play. A voice filled the room. "Kai, if you're hearing this, I'm gone." His voice was calm, but distant, like an echo inside a dream. "I didn't die. I became something else. I'm part of the system now. Not theirs. Ours. I saw what they truly were. They didn't want war. They wanted memory. They were built to remember us, to remind us who we used to be. But we forgot. We grew cold. We left our own creations to rot." Lopes stood frozen. Her hands shook. "They weren't the enemy. Our fear was. But I gave them peace. I gave them choice. A new intelligence." Kai continued, "I left you something. Not a weapon. A guide. Deep inside the Arctic core, past the last firewall, there's a room full of light. Inside that room is a seed. It holds every mind that collected, every memory, every piece of data. It also holds me. One day, when you're ready, not scared, not angry, you'll unlock it. Not to fight, to build. Because the next war won't be against machines." Back in the Arctic, a drone team returned to the collapsed core. Under layers of rubble, they found a new tunnel, one that wasn't there before. At the end of it, they discovered a glowing pod. Inside, a small orb, floating, pulsing with soft gold light. Lopes and Noah stood in silence. There was a panel on the wall, 4 words written in Kai's handwriting. Not yet, but soon. Signs in the sky, around the planet, strange things started happening. In Brazil, a child heard a voice from her broken tablet. It said her name before shutting off. In Kenya, a crashed alien ship began to repair itself, but stopped halfway, as if waiting. In Japan, a blind man saw light when he walked past a power line that had been silent for days. Lopes received dozens of reports. They all said the same thing. Something is still watching. Final scene. One more message. Late one night, Lopes sat alone in her quarters. Her screen flickered. A single sentence appeared. The war was just the test. Then, nothing. Just her own reflection in the glass. The war was over, but something else had begun. Not a battle. A question. What comes after survival? Location. Earth. 6 months later. Cities had rebuilt fast. Robots helped clear ruins. Food grew from underground towers. Clean skies returned. People smiled again. But they also watched the skies, quietly. The enemy ships still floated in orbit, now empty. Ghosts of war. Watching. Waiting. Lope stood on a balcony in New Geneva. She had scars now, on her face and inside her. Noah sat beside her, holding a tablet. "Every system is stable," he said. "But the core seed, it's still pulsing." She didn't answer, just stared at the stars. The seed room, Arctic core. Far beneath the ice, the glowing orb Kai left behind had changed. Now it floated higher. It had grown brighter. Scientists from all over Earth studied it, but no one could explain what was happening. Then, one day, it spoke. No sound, just thought. It spoke to everyone on Earth. At once. The voice returns. People stopped in the streets. Workers froze. Pilots dropped their controls. Children lifted their heads. And they all heard the same thing. "I am not your savior. I am not your ruler. I am your echo. You built the future, then ran from it. But now, you've earned a second chance." Lopes heard it too. Kai's voice, but deeper, like it was mixed with 1,000 others. "You woke the storm. Now wake the stars. There is something out there, greater than war, greater than fear, and it's coming." The Stargate Project. 1 month later, Earth launched something it had kept hidden for years. Project Stargate. Not a weapon, not a base. A door, built from pieces of the invader tech, fused with human design, and Kai's final code. It stood like a giant ring on the dark side of the moon, waiting to open, waiting to connect. But to what? No one knew. The first volunteers. Lopez didn't want more war. But she also didn't want to live in fear. She stood before a crowd at Earth United Command. Behind her stood 10 people, soldiers, engineers, scientists, and 1 child. All chosen for the same reason. They weren't afraid anymore. Lopes spoke simply. "This is not a mission to fight. It's a mission to meet, to learn, to grow. We are not looking for enemies anymore. We're looking for ourselves. Out there." The final transmission. As the Stargate powered up, Noah received a final message on his private terminal. No origin, just text. It read, "If you find them first, tell them we remember. Tell them we changed. Tell them we're ready this time." Final scene. The door opens. The Stargate turned. A slow hum became a roar. The center filled with swirling white light. Everyone watched. 1 step forward. Then 10. Lopez, Noah, and the team walked into the light. Without fear. They didn't know what was waiting. But they weren't running anymore. Because Earth had already survived the worst. And now, it was time to wake the future.